And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Bullett Grill House High School Sports Pregame Show. I'm Craig Irwin, Brian Best, Chris Moran. Not really on the far end. We're kind of like a triangle tonight. We're like the Golden Triangle.
Whoa. I think we're all looking to watch some TV in a little
all
bit.
All it is. Here at the Bullett Grill House Wednesday night, every Wednesday night throughout Texas high school football.
It's a little pressure to say that we're golden. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, we are. I mean, it was either that or the Bermuda Triangle. We're lost.
We are a bit lost.
We are a bit lost. We get off by high school sports and kind of nerd out whenever we get to talking about it. So, and then Chris, I know he's itching to do the the college game day show over there to talk about the whole Michigan State drama.
He needs to be. He needs to be. There's a lot of college football going on, and almost as much as there is high school.
Dude, high school football coming into week 11 this week, and lots of it comes down to this type situations for 1-2 seeds out of the district, and
those pick'ems were tough this week.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Chris been telling me that the pick'ems have been too easy, and I don't want to say too easy, but you kind of can figure them out. But I threw some games here in week 11, and Brian, you're going to think, I got to really think about this. And we did our podcast earlier this week, and we talked about some of these games coming up on the LSG network that we're going to have here in the pick'ems tonight as we get down there into the final segment of this show. But let's talk about pick'ems from last week.
All right.
Kind of an off week last week. A lot of Thursday games.
Yeah.
And to go with that, there's going to be a lot of Thursday games tonight or this week as we sit back and we look. And I want to go down the list of Thursday night games that are going down tonight. Anderson Shiro at Trinity. LaGrange at Cuero, Timpson, Garrison, Fort Bend, Marshall, and Dayton has been moved to Thursday. Game that we're really interested in, Corton Bulldogs, going to be on the road at Centerville, district championship game Thursday night. St. Augustine and Grapeland moved to Thursday. West Sabine, Shelbyville, Palestine, Westville, Woodville. I think that's going to be a really good game. I didn't put it in the pick'ems this week because my buddies over at Anahuac Sports Live put it in theirs, and I wanted to kind of stay different. Shepherd and Huntington moved to Thursday. Lot riding on that game there for the Cold Spring Trojans, and we're going to talk about that as we get into the show. Diboll Crockett moved to Thursday. Tarkington, Anahuac Thursday. New Waverly, Newton Thursday. Sabine Pass and Comasnell Thursday. So a lot of games moved to Thursday night. And but let's jump into the pick'ems. Let's get started. We're going to start off really big.
All right.
The game that we talked about last week at length, out of our area, really, but Cameron Yo on the road at Franklin, 63-7 final over there. Franklin gets the win, and I think we went across the board on Franklin on that one.
I think we did.
Last week, Chris.
You went Franklin, didn't you?
I had Yo.
You had Yo?
Yeah.
Yo.
I went out against you guys.
Yo, dude, what's up? So –
well, you're only like 6 touchdowns off, so.
Yeah.
The Woodlands on the road at Willis. And that game there I thought was going to be a little bit tighter than what it was. Trying to pull it up. 42-28 final.
Yeah.
Home game for Willis. But Willis hanging in there, putting 28 points up in that game. They had their quarterback actually went out late in that game.
And that's
paramount.
It's more than large. You can't really overstate his importance in that offense. I've mentioned it several times how big of a recruit he is as far as nationwide. I mean, anybody from Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and you just go down the list after that. If you got those 3 included, you got everybody.
And I saw some pictures of that game, though. They did play that game Friday night.
Yes.
And it was horrible.
Horrible conditions.
You see the pictures, the Highlander high steppers and stuff are just in their raincoats and just pouring down rain.
Drenched. And Brian and I moving into we'll jump into this next game is Brian and I went and did the Livingston Splendor game. Lopsided game all night long. 58-6 was the final there. Livingston wins. But about 8 o'clock that rain started coming down, Brian, and it it was coming down in sheets there for about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, I brought along a spotter. At least he was for that game because he knew what was coming, and it would have been pretty miserable to be out there in it. You'd have really had to be a fan and really wanted to see some high school football. And if you're a Livingston high school fan, it was worth seeing because Livingston definitely put on a show.
They put on a show. They dominated in all phases of the game.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Except for maybe special teams.
Special teams was their one weak spot. And, opening kickoff, Splendora tricks them up, onside kick. Splendora's able to recover it, and but go nowhere. At the end of the first half, would they have negative 30-something yards?
Negative 33 rushing yards. For the game, Splendora had 33 total yards for the game.
Key number for Splendora was 33.
Yeah.
Plus or minus.
Yeah, and it kind of worked out that way, but and honestly, Livingston was about 6 inches away from shutting them out. You had a situation where quarterback lofts one just over a defensive back's head to give them 6. And other than that, I mean, it was all Livingston. Livingston rolls up over 300 rushing yards. The defense was more than dominant.
And Livingston did it with a plethora of running backs. In number 7, Quinn, we've seen him the majority of the second half.
Yeah.
I think he had like 14 touches for.
It was 101 yards.
Yeah.
It was just over 100 yards. He hasn't gotten the amount of carries, obviously, that he got on Friday, but it was one of those things where they were handing the ball to people that hadn't gotten carries all year long because, it's your opportunity to work on things. It's your opportunity to see what kind of depth that you've got. It's your opportunity to kind of just give the team some momentum going into this last week. You've got a really tough game coming up. I know we're going to talk about with Lumberton, and then you've got more than likely, there's a slight chance of something crazy happening, but more than likely you got a first-round matchup with what is going to be a tough game with either Tyler Chapel Hill or Kilgore in that first-round match, whoever. And those two are actually going to play each other for the district championship this week. Another one of your big games that are occurring this week to decide district championships. But, yeah, just overall, best Livingston has looked in many, many years. And even the defensive backs that struggled all year had excellent coverage in this game and played really well. And it was hard to almost hard to discuss it with Coach Van over this week because, usually we're kind of nitpicking things and what could we have done better. There wasn't a whole lot. There was 2 special teams plays, and that's it.
Yeah, that was it, and it was a joy for me to be able to sit in the booth and call that Livingston Lion football game this last week. I'll be in the booth this week. 6 o'clock kickoff this week for your Livingston Lions in the jungle, hosting what's presumed to be the district champs, the Lumberton Raiders.
They actually have it clinched because they've beaten the second place team. Second place team already has a loss. They do not have one, so it is a game for them. I would imagine it's just sort of a warm-up game. I don't know how, if you're Lumberton, how you treat it. Do you treat it like a warm-up game? Do you treat it like, hey, we're going full steam at this? Or, if it's something to where maybe we get some players in that hadn't gotten a lot of playing time this year.
And either way, I think it's going to give Livingston an opportunity to kind of key up on some certain positions.
I think the biggest thing is, Livingston's going to get a certain atmosphere at this game that's going to be comparable to the playoff game. They're also going to get a certain competition that's going to be comparable to what they're going to see in the first round of the playoffs because you went in last week against a Splendora team that runs a spread offense, and you kind of saw a B-minus version of what you're going to see this week, which is more of an A-type game. And
I think giving a B-minus for Splendora
it's probably really generous. It's probably generous.
Especially whenever they had 33 yards total offense
Definitely.
throughout the game.
But the scheme is what's going to match,
yes.
and you wanted to see something like that from somebody else to where you actually had to match up, where you actually had to play those schemes, and that match to where you got 4 receivers, you got a running back. Probably wanted to see a little bit more read option going into this week because that's what Lumberton's going to throw at you, and they're going to throw a lot of screens at you, and they'll throw the deep ball much better than what Splendora did. But like I say, you're going to get kind of the full range of what you'll see similar in the first round of the playoffs.
Buna was on the road at Tarkington over out of District 10 3A, and it was all Buna. I think 58-0 was the final there, as it's not popping up on my scoreboard that I'm looking at, and I don't understand why, because I have both of those teams highlighted. But a lopsided game for Buna. Locks their 4 seed in the playoffs this year and shuts Tarkington out. Tarkington sitting 4-5. Got Anahuac this week as they wrap up the season. Actually, a game I'm going to be at tomorrow night, Thursday night, is that Anahuac game. So it's going to be really interesting to see. I know Tarkington's played with a lot of injuries for this season, and their fullbacks out. We talked about it in the podcast over there on the Lone Star Gridiron Network. You can go find us over there. Great podcast that we do.
Definitely a lot more for the Panthers to play for.
No, it really is, and there's a scenario that we're going to talk about as we get deeper into the show on possibilities that could happen. And Anahuac still has an opportunity to get the 1 seed out of that district. We're here at Bullett Grill House. We're here every Wednesday night, even through the playoffs, as long as Livingston's in, possibly Corrigan in the playoffs. We're going to be set up here doing this pregame show here at Bullett Grill House.
Let's hope that's another month and a half.
Yeah, let's hope so, going into the second week in December. But great hospitality here. We're here on Wednesday night. Game 5 for the
Game 5 tonight, so we need to get a W. So hopefully this weekend we'll have a Saturday game for sure, and Sunday game if we really need it. But we need to get some W's after up. We've always got some specials going on during the game. I'll tell you one thing we haven't talked about much. We have a quarter-pound hot dog, great for baseball season.
Dude, I've had that.
So I tell you, the weakness of that was the bun. We've had trouble find a bun. I finally found a bun that I think is really good. It's a little more beefier with all the toppings we put on it. I think we found a winner now. We got a winner hot dog. Now we got a winner bun to go with it.
And you don't have to spend the $20 that you'd have to spend at the ballpark.
No, not much. Not that much.
Great staff here at Bullett Grill House. They're crowding in all around as we're out here on the patio. Great AstroTurf on the ground, gives you that feel of baseball season.
It's like we're at shortstop.
Yeah, it really is. So that's going to do it for this first segment. We're going to take a break here at Bullett Grill House. When we come back, we've got a couple more games we're going to talk about. Ken's telling us, we still got a couple minutes left, but he doesn't understand what we're fixing to get into. You're listening to the Bullett Grill House High School Sports Pregame Show on 102.3, The Eagle.